Hey everybody, this is Jim Farmer again with Georgia Voice and Out on Film. We're here for the second half of our interview on To Me Manques. Um, we have the director of this extraordinary film, Rodrigo Bellott. Um, please welcome Rodrigo. This film has been playing festivals, all over the world the last few years. It's extraordinary. Thanks so much for joining us today, Rodrigo.
Oh, thank you so much, Jim. I'm really honored to be sharing the movie with you guys and talking about the film. We got caught in the worst pandemic in the world, so I'm just so thrilled that the film is finally getting to people's homes and people are finally getting to see it. So it's a
Exactly.
blessing over.
Yeah. To Me Manques has been playing festivals the last few years, and it finally hits DVD and digital May 4th. So if you have not seen it, by all means, see this film. It's exceptional. There's so much to talk to you about. Can you talk to me a little bit about, the decision to make this film?
Thank you. Well, the film is semi autobiographical, so it's based on a true experience that led to me writing a play that I try to do, and then it's weird because as I'm telling you the story of how I made the play, that's what the film is about. So it's kind of like very cyclical and meta. But the play was really, I don't want to spoil it, but the play would really change our lives and the lives of many people in Bolivia in 2015. And then we started getting um, requests from all over the world to adapt it, and among them I got a request from Broadway, and I even got sent a contract to turn it into a Broadway show, and in the contract that says like we want to turn it into a movie, and I was like, no, I want to do that. And so I kind of stopped the process and spent the last 3 years writing the film and adapting the film into the play into a film, and then everything just became a snowball effect, and we premiered in Outfest in 2019, won the screenwriting award, and it's been in festivals ever since. It was a Bolivian entry for the Academy Awards for Best International Film. So
Congratulations.
it's been a surprise after surprise and gratification after gratification, and you kind of, in our best dreams, we would have not imagined that it would be received the way it was. But it's also, you dream about a film having a life of its own and reaching so many people and changing people's lives and touching people's hearts. So this has been really a humbling, beyond ourselves experience.
Rodrigo, obviously this material is very personal to you. I mean, how hard was it to take something that was about your life and make a play? I mean, how emotional was that?
Just like rehearsing the play, I told my actors the first day of rehearsals, like, I want to be crying during rehearsal, so just don't mind me. And I also gave them the permission to cry and be emotional during the process, which was incredibly cathartic. This is also very inspired in my original actors' true stories. So it was a communal experience, and really cathartic and really healing for all of us. And
Mhm.
then when years later, because this was in 2015, years later I went on to do the film in 2018, and like the whole thing repeated, and I told everybody, it's like, I may cry during shootings, so just don't mind me. It's like and without kind of like thinking about it, the first day of shooting, I was trying to be focused and trying to, like, so much on my shoulders, and then I turned around and everybody in the team was crying, and behind the camera, the sound guy, my DP, my ADs, everybody is like, oh wow, this is very special, and shooting the film felt like we were doing something very sacred. So it is a beautiful thing, because for us, going to work, going to the set was like going to church every day. It was really beautiful.
How how did you adapt the play into a film? And how did you change it to make it filmic, more theatrical?
That's a great question, because the play is very different from the movie, and but the essence of this father kind of looking for somebody to blame for the death of his son, and being challenged by this young man who represents everything he hates in the world.
Mhm.
um mainly a conversation between these two men about this man who has died, someone's boyfriend and someone's son. And
Sure.
so it was only two people on the play, and then there was all the whole like oniric um performance part of the play with the 30 actors who were playing Gabriel. But obviously that didn't work on film, and so I did a version of the film that comprises the play into the first 4 minutes of the film, and then what would this man do after the play ends? And so I imagine this idea that he would go to New York and look for answers and kind of look. There was a phrase that really moved me from the beginning and moved everybody. It was like, "Shame on you for losing a son you never met." And I felt like that was the key to the movie. Like if that man was not going to be able to live with himself with that phrase, so he needs to redeem himself, and he needs to go to New York and at least know his son after his death. And that became the origin for the film. And then when I finished the first screenplay, my mentor, who's Ira Sachs, like destroyed me. It's like, no, this is not, no, this is not it. This is not it. There's something missing. And
Mhm.
I was like, what else can I do? And he goes, listen, every time you tell your story of what it meant for you to make this play in Bolivia and what it entailed, and the 30 guys that were involved, and the repercussion, it's almost like a better story than the story that you're trying to tell in the film. And that's where I had the idea of like integrating the creation of the play as part of the catharsis of the boyfriend, and creating this kind of beautiful circle at the end that I want to ruin.
Exactly. As you mentioned earlier in the film, following the death of his son, the father Jorge travels from conservative Bolivia to New York to confront Sebastian, his son's boyfriend. While Jorge struggles to accept the life of his son, Sebastian channels his grief into a bold play honoring his lost love. One of the things I love so much about this film is that it's character driven. I mean, there's so many
Thank
great
you so much.
relationships. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship that develops between the father and Sebastian?
Well, first, I was so lucky to have probably the best Latin American living actor in right now, in the world. And Oscar Martinez had just won Best Actor award in Venice in
Mhm.
2015, and so it's like, there's and for us, Latin American directors, he is the Anthony Hopkins of
Sure.
Spanish speaking cinema. So in his late 60s, he's done just every iconic movie that you can think of. So but somehow we gambled, and we sent him a script, and within 3 days he called us back saying like, this is one of the most touching screenplays I've ever read in my life, and I would be a fool not to be part of it.
Yeah.
And he brought that humanity that you're talking about. And what's interesting about him is that he's a father himself. He has 4 children. So the first thing is like, I can understand the wrath and the anger and the frustration of this man. He's willing to kill because somebody took his child away from him,
Yeah.
his only son. But at the same time, he's not a monster. And it's important that people understand that every single thing that he has done and that he will do, he's doing out of love.
Mhm.
And that just became such a beautiful thing to try to achieve in the film. And I think it's a film that if I may say so, it's a film that doesn't point fingers,
Exactly.
and it
Exactly.
actually allows you to see perspectives in the process of loving and misunderstanding. Because at the end of the day, I don't like to talk about hate. um i just I just talk about lack of understanding. And I think this movie wanted to do that, to try to understand the perspective of the parents who are trying to protect their kids with an education that does not fit in this contemporary world that
Exactly.
they've inherited. And then other kids who are trying to educate their parents and saying like, this model of masculinity doesn't work anymore, and I'm happy and I'm safe and I'm loving and I love, and those two phrases are just enough for somebody to just be free, and I think that contest between two generations of men, and for me it's an exploration of masculinity in three different generations and the big gap in between. I
Exactly.
am I am part of that gap. I'm now 40 years old, but I was raised in paradigms of the 20th century, but I live in the 21st century, and most of my friends are LGBT, trans, and for me, the idea of the day-to-day idea of gender or sexuality that I live
Yeah,
was inconceivable 10 years ago.
exactly.
Imagine what, and this actually made me understand a lot of the things that I had as a teenager with my father, that clash of not understanding, I am just as man as you are, uh, and there's nothing wrong with me,
Yeah,
so I think that's those are the intentions behind this movie, and I'm glad that you recognize that.
oh, sure. The ensemble is so very strong, but can you talk a little bit about the younger actors and how you were able to find and cast them?
Yeah, that's another beautiful thing. Just to do a film where the one of the lead characters is played by three different actors was
Mhm.
craziness, and I was so lucky to have producers who allowed me to shoot the film three times simultaneously, which made the film three times more expensive. But just make it so unique. And I haven't seen a film to date that does that. People play with the idea of different actors playing the same character in different ages, but this is simultaneous, and this has to do with memory, this has to do with grieving, and this has to do with reality in a non-linear world where everything is possible. And like we're having this interview right now, but we're somewhere else in another parallel universe. So it was a crazy feat, and I wanted to give the opportunity to Bolivian actors. I don't think we see them enough on screen, and we have this stigma that nobody's going to hire us because we don't have film schools or acting schools. And yet there's so many people like Jose, who has been living in the States, who's just studied at Willem Esper, who's a
Yeah,
fantastic actor, and he needs to go for different kind of roles, like different Latino roles, if he wants to get work. And so for me, it was very important. I said to my casting director that they need to be Bolivian, because we also have a very specific accent, the way we speak Spanish. And in Bolivia would never forgive me if I hire a Spanish or an Argentinian Mexican actor playing Bolivian. And he was so great at allowing me. It was a long search, and we found these three wonderful young men who are extraordinary, and are now pursuing a career in the States, all of them.
oh,
And
great.
then the 30 other Gabriels from the play are not actors, and that line in the movie, you're not going to find a single actor willing to play gay in the country, is true. And I didn't find them, and so what I did is I started looking for people who were suicide survivors,
Hmm.
who were in danger of coming out, who had something important to say, and were not part of the status quo of what Bolivia represented in terms of masculinity, gender, and social norms. And I found these 30 extraordinary young men who were willing to commit this social suicide, because doing this play would have, we were expecting to affect our lives perpetually. And they took the risk, and they believed in me, and they believed in the project, and they bare their souls and their bodies in that stage, and their lives changed forever. And so the bravery and the rawness that you see in the film is real. These guys are the real deal.
Great. I wanted to ask you, what was it like growing up gay in Bolivia?
Well, it's interesting because I'm I'm still one of the few, if not the only, publicly out, public man in Bolivia. I've been making films for many years, and it was a thing when I started my success early on. When I was 24 years old, I did my first film. I was nominated for an Academy Award, and all of a sudden people were asking, where is the girlfriend? Where is the wife? And why is he doing interviews by himself? And for me, it was a huge thing, and I didn't want to be the gay actor, and I didn't want to be, a poster boy for a cause. I always fought for my privacy,
Hmm.
um, and obviously, because I had no references of what it was, a public gay man, who was an artist, who was, accomplished, or was coming out or was being featured in the newspapers and all over the country. So I didn't know how to handle that responsibility, or if I wanted it in my personal life. So it was very, very difficult for me. And looking back at it, when I was about to do To Me Monk, and I was looking for support, I had just premiered a film in Cannes, and won Sundance with another film, and so people are looking to support me and give me sponsorship, and they're like, oh, he is actually the real deal. And then I was like, well, but I can't do this keeping that a secret. I need to, and my producer is the one who says, like, you can't do To Me Monk unless you come out publicly. And that's what I did, and I was lucky to be invited to do a TED Talk, and I came out front of thousands of people on my TED Talk, and it became viral, and that was the beginning. I was like, if I want to do this, I need to just stop feeling fear. I can't talk about the fear of coming out if I'm in that fear, and so the movie changed my life in a lot of senses. But obviously, by the time we did the play, it was still like super dangerous. And by the time we came back with the movie, we presented it. It's so many people have came out already.
Yeah.
There were alliances, there are activist groups, and like I feel like I Bolivia was different by 5 years from the Bolivia where I did the play and Bolivia where I presented To A Monk in 2019. So that just shows you how fast the world
Exactly.
is moving, and that this is an irreversible, irreparable change forward, and it's beautiful, and the amount of love that I saw, that I received in theaters with the film in Bolivia was beautiful, and I became the first gay man to be on the cover of Forbes. And it's just weird, like everything that I was fearing
Hmm.
I became, and now I'm like, it's not a fear anymore. And I keep on saying, like, I don't do gay cinema. I do cinema that talks about the world that I know. And obviously in my cinema, there will always be gay men and women and trans kids. And it's a reflection of the world that I live in, that I love. And so, but that doesn't make me an activist. And because a lot of people wanted to put a flag on me, and I said, no, I'm a filmmaker. I will support with the space and the platform that media gave me in my country, but there's hundreds, if not thousands, of parents who've been secretly supporting and doing a lot more activism,
Hmm.
supporting their kids in schools and in their communities, and they're the ones who are the unsung heroes of this cause.
Exactly. Congratulations on being able to take the film back to Bolivia, and the amazing reception you had. I wanted to ask you, one of the things the film does so well is talks about suicide in the LGBT community. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I was super scared about that, and thank you for saying that. Again, I was with great mentors. I was working with a group of mentors in an organization in New York called the Queer Art Mentorship,
Hmm.
and it started by Ira Sachs, the great Ira Sachs, and I was giving a fantastic mentor. His name is Silas Howard, one of the first transgender directors to win Sundance, and now he's directing Pose, and uh, The Fosters and Transparent, and like, just to have that kind of level of maturity and sensibility behind me made me deal with this in a very responsible way. And the most important thing was like, do not try to explain it. Do not try to justify it. Do not try to blame, because that is not your responsibility, and for me, that was the most important thing to just, it's not a film about suicide. It's a film about someone who doesn't know what else to do,
Sure.
and so even though the play has this really heartbreaking moment at the end where you see what happened, with 30 actors doing it, it's it becomes a metaphor, because you can die, you can live a life where you're denying something of yourself for the rest of your life, and that is death by living, and
Exactly.
so for me it's another form of suicide, um and I think the important part was not to take sides and not to say
Mhm.
that it's bad, and I think the world where I'm trying to live, in the world where I'm trying to create that film, there is no right or wrong, and there is just perspectives, and everything comes from love. Even, and there's a phrase that one of my actors said in the movie, is like, the reason why I'm trying to uh run away from my family is not for my own happiness, it's so that they don't suffer as
Exactly.
much, and that kind of gives you a perspective of like, many of these things have to do with love. Everything, that people do, um, comes from love.
Yeah. To Me Manques premiered, I believe, at Outfest a couple of years ago, and it later went on to be Bolivia's official submission for the 92nd Academy Awards. And if I'm correct, that is the second time a film of yours has been your country's official. Is that, so congratulations.
Yeah.
And that must be an amazing feeling.
Yeah, hopefully the third one would be though. No, it's really really wonderful. My first film was, I was 24, still in the closet, and I had no idea what was going on. And this one was, you know, um, 26 years later, and no, no, 16 years later. And I have done 14 films in between, so it's a very different experience. I was more interested in this, in getting to people and people watching it, than the glamour and
Mm.
the meeting famous people. And so it was a very different experience, and um, it's a very humbling experience, and to be represented. But for me, the big success is that a country that where I grew, fearing for my life, where I felt like I was in danger for being gay, suddenly said, I am proud of my gay son, and decided to choose our film, a openly gay film with gay actors and, trans actors, talking about something that was unnamed in cinema in our country, to represent the country at the Academy Awards. That just meant so much, and it gives you an idea of how things are changing.
Exactly. Congratulations again. What's next for you?
I did another film that, I'm waiting to get back to normal now, and premiere in festivals. It's a horror film called Black Redox, about the fires in the Amazon
Okay.
here in Bolivia. It but it's so it's a horror film with political social issues, as everything that I do, and it's told from the perspective of a gay couple who are journalists.
Oh,
So
you know, I did not know that. I am, I love gay film. Obviously, I coordinate a gay film festival, but I love horror films as well. So you have to submit that to us. You have to come here and let us see that. When do you think you'll have it finished?
we hope we're gonna have a final mix in the next 2 weeks. We're doing the post in Chile, and everything is shut down because of the pandemic still.
Yeah.
So as soon as we have that, we're gonna start submitting to festivals. I had an amazing time in Out on Film. To My Monk was shown there, and so I'm sure I'm gonna return and show it
Oh,
to you guys.
I'm gonna okay. I'm gonna I'm going to stalk you until the film is finished, and I want that film in the fall. I want that film for Adam Film.
Oh,
Yeah, this
no problem, man.
yeah, this has been so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us, Rodrigo. The film is Me Manques. It is on DVD and digital May 4th. If you have not seen it, shame on you, but please try to check it out. It's really, really very good. Rodrigo, thank you so much for your time and continued good luck. And I'm going to see your film in the fall.
Thank you so much, Jim. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for the support always.
Thank you so very much.
You have a wonderful weekend.
You do. One second.